take a minute to scroll through if you haven't already and see where everybody is joining us from. If you haven't introduced yourself in the chat, go ahead and tell us in the Zoom chat where you are joining from. Well, I know we have somebody in Arkansas who has a tornado warning going on. We've got Virginia and Canada, Victoria specifically, Minnesota, Mississippi, California, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Oregon. We've got the whole country represented, even Hawaii. Look at that. So excited. Oh, did I see Mesa? That's close to me. I am in Gilbert, Arizona. Maybe I didn't see Mesa. So yeah, I'm in Gilbert, Arizona. That's where I live. It's a part of the Phoenix metro area. And I teach at Mesa Community College. Tonight, I am excited to share with you an FTE classic. So if you've never run this activity, it has applications in history, macroeconomics, microeconomics. There's usually a place you can find to fit this fun activity that's called Cartels and Competition. So right now you should see a code to join Pear Deck. And so to join Pear Deck, I'm going to have you go to joinpd.com. And then once you go to join PD, PD stands for Pear Deck. Once you go to joinpd.com, you're going to enter the code that you see on my screen, which is HCHUBS. And Debbie Davis just put that in the chat for you. You can open it up on your phone if you want to keep your computer space clean. You can open it up in a new tab, but that's going to let you interact with the slides, which will be really important for the activity. So this activity was designed for a traditional classroom where you're doing it face-to-face, but we learned how to do it virtually once COVID hit. And so now you'll have the instructions and you'll know how to run it, whether you're going to be teaching in person or virtually. It's a fun, great activity to run. So let me go ahead and close that. You'll still see the code at the top right of my screen, and you can always scroll back through the chat if you get disconnected and need to get back in. Debbie posted the code there. So we're going to send you, we're just going to jump right in the activity. Our model at FTE is that is all about active learning. And we know that even teachers learn best by doing. So what better way to introduce you or teach you an activity than by having you do it just like your students will. So, oh, there's Jamie. He's from Mesa, Arizona or somewhere. Hi, Jamie, my neighbor. Okay, so we're going to put you into breakout rooms, and there are going to be 6 teams. So in your breakout room with your team, you need to come up with a team name. Just to help you narrow it down, let's pick breakfast cereals, okay? And you want to pick hopefully you'll pick a breakfast cereal that's different than somebody else, but some variation of a breakfast signal, or breakfast cereal. So you could say, we are the, I was trying to think of something that starts with T8. We're the Cheating Cheerios or something like that. You come up with something, a breakfast cereal type of a name. Then you're going to choose a captain. And the team captain needs to be connected to Pear Deck. Everybody I want connected for other slides later. But for these slides in particular, they're going to be submitting the decisions of your group on Pear Deck. So only one person has to submit for your team. And that's going to be whoever the team captain is. So somebody that's comfortable, they have it open on a different screen or on their phone, and they're comfortable doing that. So team name, team captain. And then you're going to choose an accountant, somebody that's pretty confident with math. All of you will have access to the balance sheet, but the accountant is going to have the balance sheet, and they're going to open it up on, they're going to open it up and share, like in your breakout room, you can share your screen so that everybody can see the math that you're doing. And on the balance sheet, you're going to enter your team member names on the balance sheet. So let me, I have new links for these because I put them in the drive that Debbie prepared for everybody. So let me just copy the link really quick. Anyone with the link? I'm going to put that in the chat for you. Okay, so everybody can open this up, but only the person that you choose as the accountant is responsible for making sure they have all the numbers entered and sharing it in the group so you can all see the document. And when you open that, it's going to ask you to make a copy just so you can type all over it. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? All right. Let me see what I have on the next slide really quick. All right. So when you're in your breakout room, I will switch to this slide and have the team captain enter the team name and who the team captain is and who the accountant is. Okay. So I'll leave these instructions up. Let me go back. There we go. I'll leave these instructions up while you get into your breakout rooms. Okay, send them away, Debbie. 6 rooms, 6 teams. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I see team 1 are the Frosted Cartel Crunch, and their team captain is Tamra. And team 1, who's your accountant going to be? Anybody?
I'm gonna say Tim because that's the only person's name who I remember. Sorry, Tim.
Okay, Tim, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, if it's easy math, sure.
It is pretty easy. And you have a whole team to help you.
And just a reminder then, I need to, not to interrupt you, I need to make a copy of that cartel thing, right? Because then I've got.
Okay, so the link is still, if you open up the chat, you should still see the link in the chat.
Oh yeah, I've got it. Okay, no, I'm
Awesome.
good. But it says
Okay.
view only, so I need to make a copy, right?
Yes, just make a copy.
Okay. Sounds good. Got it.
And then we have, I see for team 2, we have 3 teams that have entered, or 3 people who have entered for team 2, but you only need 1. Only the team captain is going to be entering answers for you. So
yes, mistakes were made, but we are Captain Crude. I'm the captain. And
Captain
I forgot
Crude, it's Baroon. Okay,
yeah, and I forget the gentleman who's going to be the accountant. I forgot his name.
Who is going to be the accountant for team 2?
I think we said Andrew, and I'm the
Andrew.
one who I did a second
Andrew.
post on that. I'm sorry.
Okay, sounds good, Andrew. No problem. It's okay if you did an extra. And then we have, I don't see team 3 yet, unless they are they the Wheeling Wheaties?
No, I was having trouble with the Paradeck thing. I think I've got it now, so I'm typing it in right now if you want me to finish.
Okay, we'll come back to team 3. Okay. And then is team 4 the Wheeling Wheaties? That would be breakout room 4. So we're looking for Chris, Eric,
Sorry,
Jackie, Jamie.
I'm Jackie. I'm here. I didn't realize we were taping in Pear Deck and on the spreadsheet, so I'm just putting the Pear Deck in right now.
Awesome. And just put team 4 in front of your answer.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are, team 4 is the Charms.
We are the Charms Confederation.
The Charms Confederation, and your captain is Eric. Okay. And who's your accountant?
No, that's not. We don't have. I don't.
That's not you?
Was Eric? Was it Eric or was
I
it?
also see Jacqueline Collins as captain.
Okay, I'm all confused now.
Okay. Or maybe, so it looks like we have 2 people who have entered for team 4. One says Matt is the accountant and one says Jacqueline. So Jacqueline, you get to pick. What do you want to be?
I'm the person that typed everything into the document.
Okay, so you're going to be the captain. That means, Matt, are you comfortable being the accountant?
I'm sorry if I messed up Matt and Eric.
Or Eric? Is it Eric? Just unmute and say, yes, I'm good with that.
Sorry, team 4, Eric is the captain.
Yeah, and you're going to be the accountant, right? Will you? Eric?
Jacqueline, I thought was going to be the accountant. I was going to be the captain, but we can flip it.
Okay.
Then we can flip-flop because I gave you the spreadsheet. We did things backwards.
Okay, perfect. As long as you guys as long as it's getting done. And then who are the Wheeling Wheaties? Somebody raise your hand if you're from that team. Alan, okay. And Alan, you guys are on team group 3, team 3. And so the Wheeling Wheaties, so in front of all your answers, you'll put team 3. That's your breakout room. And we have Alan as the captain and everybody else members. Who is going to be your accountant, Alan?
It's me, Samuel.
Samuel. Thank you. Samuel, awesome. And then for team, we have team 3 and 4, so 5. we have Corn Pops. Lindsay is going to be the captain, and who's going to be your accountant?
I think I volunteered.
Thank you. Who was that? That was Lisa, right?
Lisa.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Lisa. And team 6, the cheering Cheerios. That's better than cheating. I like that. And Terry is going to be your captain. Who's going to be your accountant?
Laura.
Okay, Laura, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move to our next instructions. So in this activity, there are 6 companies, and your 6 companies make up 98% of the business in the industry. So your goal, to keep it simple, let's just say you produce oil, okay? And your 6 companies, there are other small producers, but your 6 companies dominate the market. You've got 98% of the market. Can you think of any industries that are like that, where a handful of companies control the majority of the market? Just call some out, or you can put them in the Zoom.
ExxonMobil.
Healthcare.
Tech companies in general?
Like when you say tech companies,
Healthcare.
give me some
Uh,
examples of tech companies.
Google, Meta.
Google,
Cell phone providers, the
hey,
Verizon.
social media would be one, I think. Cell
Google
phone
Pop.
providers. Yeah, we've got like 3 big ones now.
Healthcare.
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 I heard healthcare. Are you talking about, when you say healthcare, do you mean insurance
Blue
companies?
Cross Blue Shield, United. Yeah.
Insurance
There's
companies,
just-
good.
Yep.
Domestic airlines, great example. Handful. Electric
Yeah.
companies.
Soft
they're like
drink companies.
soft drink companies. Thank you, Debbie Chan. Let me see if I missed any. Ooh, meat producers. I don't know much about that industry. And Matt mentioned the comic book industry. Matt, where are you? Who are the big producers of comic books?
Marvel and I can't think of the other one, but I know
DC?
Marvel's the big one. DC, Marvel and DC.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so these are great examples of industries like that, where there's not a lot of competition. Okay. So we have 6 companies that control 98% of the market. Your goal is to make as much profit as possible. There will be a prize for all companies that earn more than a $200 profit. And you could decide what that prize would look like in your classroom. When we do this in our summer programs with students, we have EFL bucks that they earn. But you could do extra credit points. You could do tickets, if you have like a bunch of raffle tickets and then you do drawings at the end of the semester or something. You could do candy, if you're allowed to give out candy, Tootsie Rolls, some inexpensive, kind of candy for the teams. But there will be an additional prize for the company that earns the most profit. So in this case, I like to make it like a 1-to-5 ratio. So everybody that earns a profit would get the 1 EFL buck. But if you earn the most profit, that you get an additional $5 per person. Okay.
Good.
So we know as economics teachers or whatever it is that you're teaching, you've probably heard about supply and demand. When you're running this activity with your students, hopefully they would at least have that foundation, or they would understand that prices come from markets. The interaction of producers and consumers in the market, and prices emerge from those interactions. And so in every round, I will give you a forecast of market demand, but you're going to have to come up with your own forecast of market supply. And you know what your company is going to produce. You're going to make a decision about how much you're going to produce. And then you're going to predict, what do we think the other 5 companies are going to do? Because their production plus your production will be the market supply, since it's really just you guys in the industry. So here is the demand forecast. And it shows that, if the price is $125, the market demand will be between 0 and 6. Another way to look at it would be if somewhere between 27 and 32 units of oil are supplied, the consumers will buy those, all of them, but only if the price is $30. So for those of you that teach supply and demand, does this reflect the law of demand? What do you think? Give me a nod or a thumbs
Yes.
up or a thumbs down. Do you think it does? Okay. And why is that? Michelle Marr.
Because as prices rise, demand falls.
Okay, thank you, Paul. It's,
Yeah, that's
there's an inverse relationship. We can see that at higher prices, consumers will buy less. And at lower prices, like 20, consumers will buy more. They'll buy 41 to 50 if the price is 20. But if the price is 125, they'll only buy 0 to 6. So if you guys, you can assume that everything your teams produce will be sold in the market. The question is at what price? If you supply 14 to 19, somewhere in that range, the price will be $75. Okay. That's how the forecast works. So you're going to make your own forecast of market supply. And by estimating, by knowing what you'll produce and estimating what you think the other countries will do. So for example, if you produce 1 unit and so do all the other companies, total supply would be 6. And according to the demand forecast, what would be the market price? On your Pear Deck slide, you're going to see a little yellow dot. Drag that dot to what you think the price will be if 6 are supplied. And yes, I like Varun's comment in the chat. He did correctly say quantity demanded, which is as the price goes up, the quantity demanded decreases. All right, let's see where your dots are. There, I only see 15. Drag those yellow dots. I'm waiting for 15 more. All right. Let's see where they're
Sorry,
going.
Debbie, I came in late. How do I get access to that slide that you're talking
Will
about?
you paste it again, Debbie Davis, the code?
Yes.
Go to joinpd.com, join PD for Pear Deck, and then Debbie Davis is going to put the code in the chat. Okay, so it looks like most of you have your yellow dots up here covering $125, and that is correct. Good job. Whoops, let me hide, and then we can click. Okay, so your decision also has to take into your cost of production. Let's suppose your cost of production is $25 per unit, and you sell the unit, that one that you produced, for $125. So your revenue is $125 minus your cost of $25 would leave you with a profit of $100. Suppose your company produces 3 units and the total market supply is 19 units and your production cost is $25 per unit. So my question, or what I want you to do on this Pear Deck slide, is enter, are you making a profit or a loss, and how much? Use either a plus or a minus to tell if it's a profit or loss. Actually, I don't know if you can add a plus or a minus. I guess we'll find out. So put in the number and then I'll ask you if it's a profit or a loss. Okay, I see some answers popping up, so we're going to check on those. Let's look at them like this. I see a lot of 50s and 150s. And, oh, you can do a negative. So a negative 50, 140. Like some are still being entered. 100. So it looks like the most common answers are 150. That looks like the most common. And then I see some 50s and some negative 50s. So let's go back and look at the worksheet here and find out who was right. So if the total market supply is 19, then we would look over here in our demand forecast and see that when 19 are supplied, that's going to intersect with our demand curve here at $75. So you're going to be able to sell each one that you produce at $75. How many did you produce? 3, thank you. And so 3 at $75, and your cost of production was $25. So how much profit are you making on each one? On one, you're making a profit of $50, which is probably where all those 50s came from, but you made 3. So what's your total profit? Would be $150. If we follow the steps here in this chart, we would take the cost of production, which is 25 times 3. That's $75 in production cost. And then we would take our total revenue, which would be 75 times 3. That's 225. And then we would take our total revenue and subtract the total cost. 225 minus 75 leaves us with 150 in profit. So you're going to have a balance sheet that looks like this. Everybody has access to it. Your accountant will keep the official copy, and it just guides you through keeping track of your profit every round. So go ahead and open the balance sheet for your team. So you can, I also have it projected here on the screen. And notice that you start with $150. That's because you're going to have to pay your production cost up front. So, and remember the incentive was you have to have a balance. You have to have a $200 profit to win a prize. So what should your balance be in order to have a $200 profit? Knowing that you're starting with 150, what does your balance need to be at the very end to show a $200 profit?
350.
Go ahead.
350.
Laura's right, 350, and Andrew put that in the chat also. So you would need, because you're starting with 150, that's not profit, that's just money that's in the bank, you know, kind of like the change your mom would give you so that you could run your lemonade stand and make change for people. You're gonna have to give that back to her, right? So if you have a balance of 350 at the end, subtract that out, that initial 150, you're gonna be left with a $200 profit. Okay, so in each round, you have to pay your production cost up front. Skip over here. And our production cost, we used a sample of 25, but our actual production cost for all the rounds is going to be $30. It's the same for all the companies, for all the rounds. It's going to be $30.
That's per unit.
So what was the question, Samuel?
Sorry, that's per unit, isn't it?
Yes, $30 per unit.
All
Good
right.
question. So if you have to pay your production costs up front, what is the most that any team could produce in round 1? Go ahead and type that number in Pear Deck. Okay, I see a lot of 5s. I see 120, a lot of 5s. The correct answer is 5. Paul Bryant, can you tell me how you came up with 5?
I just divided 3 into 150. I mean, 3 into 150. 30 into 150. I'm sorry.
30 into 150. Yeah, you're starting with 150. And if each unit costs $30, you can only produce 5 in the first round because 5 times 30 is 150. You've used all your money. Okay. Now, as you sell those units, you hopefully make a profit, and then you might have more in the next round so you could produce more going forward. So that's important to keep in mind. All right, so we're going to send you away to your breakout rooms, and all you have to do for this first task is just talk with your group about how many you want to produce. So here is, I will display this so you can see it in the in your breakout rooms, so you can see the demand forecast. And when you make your production decision, the team captain is the only one that's going to enter on Pear Deck, and they're going to write team 1 produced and then tell us the number. It's going to be somewhere between 1 to 5, right? And once your team has made a decision, come back here to the main room. All right? Are there any questions?
Yes. How many rounds are there?
We do not know how many rounds. There will be at least 3. There could be 6, you know, okay?
And
All right.
does every team have the same budget? I missed that.
Yes, every team has the same balance sheet, starts with 150, has the same production cost. All right, Debbie Davis, go ahead and send them away. Okay, I see all of your, I see 6 responses. I think it's team 4 that only put in, oh, they're editing right now. Yeah, perfect. So I've got everybody's has responded. And so I'm going to announce the production decisions of all the teams anonymously. So you'll hear yours in there, as well as the production decisions of the other teams. So we have a 5, and you guys help me keep count as we go. Okay, we've got 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So we're at 14 so far, plus 2, that's 16, plus 3 more, that's 19, okay? So that's our total supply. I'm gonna share my screen again. There we go. And if the total market supply is 19, what does that make our market price?
75.
75, yeah.
75 right here. 19 gives us a market price of $75.
Per unit, isn't it?
What's that?
Is that per unit also, eh?
Yes, that is per unit.
All right.
So you get to sell. So if your team made 5, you would do 75 times 5 for your revenue. If your team made 3, you would do 3 times 75 for your revenue. So here's the balance sheet. And you'll notice for round 1, you're going to subtract your production costs. For the team that produced all 5, they would subtract 150. For the teams that produced 3, your production cost would be 75 times 3. That's 225. So is that right? No, you produced 3 at 30. I'm sorry. 3 at 30 is 90. And so you'll subtract that. That would leave you a subtotal of 60.
Yeah.
And then you're going to add in your sales. And you would take the 3 that you produced, or the 2, or the 5, however much your team produced, multiply it by 75. That's going to be your balance going into the next round. Okay. So, I'm going to send you back to your room so you can calculate your new balance. And then, as you're calculating your new balance, you're going to make a decision about how many you want to produce for round 2. And you'll do the same thing. The team captain is going to enter your production decision for round 2. Any questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah, I had a quick.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so we get our subtotal, and then we add our revenue is from the selling of our units. So our
Yes.
balance after round 1 is actually the subtotal plus the revenue from sales, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And Ty, you had a question.
Yeah, in terms of with the students, are you having a discussion after the first round about what the teams talked about, or are we just letting it go through? Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
That'll happen. So right now, you're just kind of feeling it out, seeing what it's like with the other teams. You're going to do another round like this, kind of predict what you think the other teams will do, what you make a decision about what you guys should do. Okay. All right. Send them away again, Debbie. And when you're done, when you've made your decision, come back on your own. Welcome back, everybody. Hope your busy work day was enjoyable with all your colleagues deciding how much to produce. Hopefully you'll be profitable. Okay, so I'm gonna read the results from this round. And the results are, we had 1 team produce 2. We had 3 teams produce 4. So 4 times 3, that's 12, plus our initial 2. So we're at 14. And 2 teams produced 5. So that's 10 more, that's 24. So a market supply of 24 gives us a price of how much? $50. Okay, so you're going to update your balance sheet back in your breakout room. Okay, and when you're in your breakout room, there will be an exciting announcement. So watch Pear Deck for the exciting announcement and follow the instructions on your Pear Deck slide. Okay, and you won't have to make your decision until there's basically a conference that's going to take place. Until after the conference is over, that's when your team will make their decision. Okay? So update your balance sheet and watch for an important announcement. Okay, send them away, Debbie. All right, everybody's making their way back. They'll be here shortly. Share my screen again. All right, everybody is back. So I'm going to read our production decisions and you can help me add them up as we go. We have a 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. So what are we at?
Mama.
Okay.
6, 7,
Right,
8, 9, 10, 10.
10 so far. Plus 5, that's 15. Plus 7, that's 22. So a total of 22 were produced, which puts you at at this price of $50. Okay, $50. So the accountants, I want you guys to finish the balance sheet after round 3. That is the end of our game. So now we're going to talk about what just happened. Okay. So accountants, you work on your balance sheet. Once you, let's see, let me skip past these really quick. Okay. So accountants, once you calculate your company's profit, in a few slides, I'm going to have you type out what your profit is for all the rounds. And then you're going to share a link to your balance sheet in the Zoom chat. So just share your document where you've been keeping track of your profits. And in the Zoom chat, just put team 1 and then copy the link, or team 2, copy the link. Okay, so I can open those up. All right, any questions? All right, so remember, profit is going to be your current balance, whatever your balance is at the bottom, minus the 150 we started with. All right. All right, so let's talk about what happened. What did happen? You can type your answer in Pear Deck. You can unmute and speak up.
People got greedy.
People got greedy. What else?
4 teams have
Greedy
no
people
integrity.
forgot to do the math of the other people getting greedy.
You forgot to do the math of other people getting greedy. Varun, you said 4 teams did what?
Have no moral integrity. Basically.
4 teams have no moral integrity. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I learned it by playing this game with a couple of people that were in that room.
What did you learn, Theodore? Or who said that? Paul, what did you learn?
I learned that the team that won had the right strategy.
The team won.
We're cartels.
And what was their strategy?
Yeah.
Well, to have everyone agree to a certain price, but then come back to the group and, raise that price, not price, but quantity, and then raise that quantity in order to win.
Okay.
Hey, Debbie.
Basically, I looked at if everyone was being honest, how much could we produce to hit like the maximum? And then assuming everyone wouldn't be honest, I was like, just go down with the shit was my strategy. Just sink the whole thing.
You assumed people wouldn't be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Juan Lin, I saw you smiling from the moment we came back. Did you predict this?
We're from the cheering group, so we predicted that, but we still chose to be a nice team and
Nice team.
nice team. Nice team, even knowing the others will game the system almost 100% for sure.
Okay.
Because we feel good about ourselves that way.
Okay.
And and making the most profit wasn't the goal of our team. I guess business-wise, we had a social responsibility.
Social responsibility, she said. Varun in the chat said nice teams finish last.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
I got hustled completely.
you got hustled. Curtis got hustled. Okay.
I
why
saw
do you
Varun
want
was
to
in the
talk to
room and I knew the
other companies?
strategy.
When you do this with a regular class, you say the same thing. Hey, there's a trade convention going on. At trade conventions, people, they attend sessions, they learn new things, they share best practices. they have a little vacation. So go enjoy, and you take them to Hawaii or something. And so you guys got into the room. I didn't give you any instruction other than I said, pretend Debbie and myself are not here, and you guys carry on and have fun at your convention. And immediately you started talking. Why was it beneficial to talk to each other? Why did you want to talk to each other? You didn't talk about best practices or your favorite cocktails. I mean, you started strategizing. Why?
Try to learn about other strategies,
You were trying to learn about their strategy? Okay.
Right. I mean, you see what they are thinking, right? And use that to your advantage. So that I COVID, I barely talk. So, but yeah, learn what is their thinking, or at least their presumed thinking, and try to adjust your strategy according to what you think they will do.
Okay. So when the groups were at the trade convention, they immediately started talking about producing less.
Right.
Why is there a benefit to producing less?
Making more money.
Because the price, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Paul.
All right. So in our group, when they were in the meeting, we talked about it, and we said that the kind of sweet spot was two units per team. And that's probably the optimal price, at 2 units per team, which I think is $100, whatever it was. So we're expecting, and that's why so many people, I guess the group chose $2. I mean, two units to produce, because that always seemed to be the sweet spot for everybody to make out.
Yeah. And the group that came to the convention, they all realized that. So they started talking. They first were talking about 3, and they said, why 3? Why not 2? Because they realized that a lower supply means a higher price. So
Well, the sweet spot was 2 for everybody and 3 for 1. And so 4 groups figured that out. And a couple of groups decided that, well, if 2 groups do this, that's already going to push it up. So we might as well maximize it because it's going to be higher. Plus, I've played this game with Varun before, and I've seen him do that before. So I knew it was coming.
Okay.
No offense,
so here's
Varun.
my question.
No, but none taken.
Work?
But
did your collusive agreement work?
Obviously, it didn't work. Only 2 teams actually produced 2 units.
Only 2 teams. You're exactly right, Samuel. It didn't work.
2, 3.
Tried,
I mean,
literally, Jamie took a roll call, or was it Jamie? Ted, I think, took a roll call and went around and said, Team 1, what do you commit to? Team 2, what do you commit to? And they went through each team, and everybody committed to 2.
We all lied.
I was lying.
But I mean,
you guys
2
all
and
had
3
your
are very
fingers
close
crossed
together on
below
the keyboard.
monitor.
So
what you did is called collusion. What motivated you to collude?
Money.
Money, profit, right? So if that's the case, what motivated you to cheat on that collusive agreement?
Possibility of making more profit.
Even more profit. Isn't that crazy? Profit motivated you to collude, but it was also that profit that motivated you to cheat on the collusive agreement. So whose voice isn't represented in this conversation?
Oh, the consumer.
The consumers. You're exactly right. And I go back to Guanlin's comment about how, nice teams, we were the nice team, right? But we have a social responsibility. But the truth is, the team, when you guys were agreeing to collude, how would consumers perceive that?
Like
Would
you're
they be
cheating
happy?
them.
Unlawful.
unfair.
If we colluded correctly, they
consumers?
wouldn't be able to.
I think we have to look again at what industry we're looking at here. We're talking about cartels because that's what it's called. If we were selling candy and we were selling toys, that would be totally different. I'd have a different point of view.
If it's candies or toys. Interesting. The truth is, any industry where you have a handful of producers, there is going to be an incentive for them to collude, even if it's toys, right?
True, but there's a morality thing there. I don't think
morality
with drugs. in cartels.
Wait, but the
The work
car-
in
I mean,
economics,
don't kids
morality.
need toys, you know? And isn't that
cartel
crazy?
doesn't just mean the drug. It doesn't have to be just the drug lord cartels, though. It could be like a cartel,
It
right?
was the OPEC, right? There was a cartel.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Big Sugar is still evil.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
guys
Big
The
were a
pharma
cartel.
is still evil.
Nice
Yeah.
K-12 and post, post high
Post
school
office
teachers.
driver license, right?
You guys were actually a cartel in this activity. And when I do it with my
Super
students,
cool.
I'm like my sweet on it, high school students or my sweet community college students who wouldn't hurt a fly. You guys just formed a cartel. You made a collusive agreement, right? And consumers, this is actually what we're afraid of. We do not like the idea of producers getting together behind closed doors and twirling their mustache. How can we rip off those consumers, right? How can we charge them higher prices and sell less because we want bigger profits? And so they would definitely not perceive this as good. In fact, they would like the teams that cheated on the collusive agreements. They would look at them as moral, right? They're producing more and offering it to us at a lower price. Whereas those
Interesting.
teams that restricted output, that you guys called honest and moral teams, from the consumer's perspective, that's not good, right? That's taking advantage of consumers.
All right. So group 4 are the heroes. Good.
So the point of this, I mean, it can get heated when you're doing this discussion with students. So you have to be a little careful. They will say, they're cheaters, they're liars, they have no moral compass. I mean, they'll throw around just like you guys have. And it's important that you remind them that people are just responding to the incentives that you created in this activity. And these incentives are present anytime there's just a handful of producers in a market. So when we say people respond to incentives, that's true, whether we're talking about buyers or sellers, business executives, even high school students. There's an incentive to collude. So what would be the impact of laws or rules that enforced cooperation among producers? That's another word for this. You were cooperating together. What if there were laws that forced that cooperation?
That's why the FCC exists. So
I
you
would
were
think
not.
I would think less innovation.
Less
Because
innovation? Okay.
well, yes, because you're
absolutely.
competing and you're innovating to offer something different, so you can
If
gain
you're
more.
agreeing to work together as opposed to competing against each other, you're not going to be as competitive. You're not going to be as innovative. What would you expect to happen to price?
They'll stagnate, stay the same.
You sure?
Eventually.
What did you guys try to do? What kind of power did you guys try to have over price? You wanted to put upward pressure on price, right? By restricting output. In markets where there's kind of a legal forced coercion or cooperation, you will see higher prices. So examples of this can be licensing requirements for doctors, for hairdressers, teachers, taxi cabs, any kind of regulatory agency that says you can't be a part of this group unless you meet these requirements. Now, as a society, we weigh the costs and benefits and we say, well, it's probably good that we have some requirements that require doctors to be licensed, right? So not just anybody can hang out a sign and say, I'm a doctor, right? But is it really that important for massage therapists, hair braiders? Probably not. And what that ends up doing is restricting the output in those markets, and prices are higher. And it also kind of takes advantage of the people who want to get into those industries because they have to pay for the schooling or these expensive certificates.
So now they created more opportunity though for something else that probably didn't exist.
Say that again. What was the first part you said, Krizia?
So then it created more opportunities for something that didn't exist to begin with. Because if you're talking about licensing, and let's say you were saying like hair braiders didn't need licenses before, now they do. So now not only the agency makes money, but it also shows as Because when you get licensed, it's more of a leap of faith that you're taking on that person. So it's like,
It's
hey,
true.
trust me, I'm licensed. So
Yeah,
I know
but-
what I'm doing.
Yes. And so we could argue the costs, but when you have those things in place, it's going to be a less competitive market and prices will be higher. So we have to weigh the costs and the benefits. And we have to say, that's where we say it's probably worth it for doctors and teachers. Maybe not worth it for hair braiders, even though Varun said he used an unlicensed hair braider and look what happened. I highly doubt that, Varun, but you make a good point. Samuel, go ahead.
I was thinking of what you just said about this licensing. Maybe whoever is then behind promoting those type of rules may be a cartel already.
They could be. And that's one thing. We like competition when it's on the other side of the fence from us. You know, we like it when producers compete for our business. But as teachers, we are producers and we like to keep the competition out. And when we raise the standards for teaching, that keeps more people out of our field, which keeps our prices higher. And so as teachers, we don't like competition, right? At my university or my college, we like to say like, oh, adjunct faculty can't teach as many, classes as, like we limit them to 3 classes or because it's to protect them, right? It's not to protect them. It's to keep them from taking jobs from me, right? Which I am more expensive than an adjunct. So it comes Michigan. I think that was a state that now requires that you have a master's degree to be a teacher, where a lot of other states it's just a bachelor's, and that keeps more competition out. So even economics teachers can fall, to this. We don't like competition.
I've got a question.
Yes,
quick.
go ahead.
What can anybody explain why there's such a volatility with gasoline prices over the last few years? It seems like back in the day, it's like the prices change a little bit, but now it's like every week in my area, we got gas prices changing 3 times a week or up and down.
Yeah.
20
Well, I'll
cents.
tell you this, Ty, as it relates to this topic. It's a failed cartel. They are just like what happened here. While they would like to try to restrict output and collude, and they've tried, it's really hard to keep those collusive agreements because there's always an incentive to cheat. And the more competitors that there are, the more people that can sell, oil, the less likely it is that those collusive agreements will hold. And so that's why we see a lot more of that volatility today. And because the cartel doesn't work very well. Now, we don't have time to watch this video, but it is in the slides, and I just want to tell you about what it is. This is actual footage. That's why it's so grainy. It's like the FBI, took this. They probably had a camera in the 80s hidden in a briefcase. But this is where they caught the leaders in the lysine production. So this is an additive that goes into food. It raises the price of, all kinds of food products. But they caught Archer Daniels Midland, ADM, and the other producers in the world. There's just a handful in the world of this lysine. And they caught them because I think it was in Hawaii, which is in the United States, and we have laws against collusion. And here they are in this meeting agreeing to collude with each other, saying the customers are not our friends. You are my friends. We will help each other. And they were all agreeing to restrict output. So they got in trouble. They got fined. Do we trust that we're always going to be able to find this when it happens and fine them? I mean,
No.
Probably not. And so what does protect us from this kind of thing happening? Incentives matter. And so the desire for profit and competition undermine collusive agreements. I like to end with this quote for students. Profit is the motivator. Competition is the regulator. So profit is what motivates people to collude. And that incentive is always going to be there. The less competitive that markets get, the easier it is for those collusive agreements to hold. What protects us from those collusive agreements from holding is competition. So profit is the motivator. competition is the regulator. That's what keeps those collusive agreements from holding, whether or not the FBI finds out about it, right? The competition makes those collusive agreements break up. And that's why it's so important to economists to have competition on both sides of the market. So competition is the regulator. All right, let's on your in pair deck, whoever the team a captain or accountant, probably the accountant because they'll have the balance sheet. Go ahead and enter on pair deck your profit. So your balance at the end minus 150. All right.
Debbie, you can ask a question.
Yeah.
Doesn't it, why would we subtract that starting 150? Is that money that we have to give back?
It's just money you started with. Like it doesn't represent money you earned as a profit from this endeavor. It was like your seed money. And
okay, so like a loan. So that's why
like a loan.
think of it like as part of our profit. Okay, thanks.
All right, let's see what we have. Some profits coming in here. All right, we got team 4 with 355. I'm gonna write these down so I don't forget. Okay, team 4 had 355. Team 2 had 295. And remember to share your link to your sheet in the Zoom chat for me. Team 6 had 255. And team 4 had 355. What? Oh, we already got that. Yeah. And team 3 had, how much is that? It's coming, it's 275. So team 1 and team 5, what did you guys have? Team 1, what was your profit?
I just posted it.
Oh, thank you.
We ended with 515, and then you said to subtract 150, right? So 365.
Yes. So 365, thank you. And that was team 1. And team 5, what was your profit?
I think I did the math right, but somebody from my group has to check. I was just the accountant entering the numbers.
Okay. So what do you think it is, Lisa?
I just put it in the chat and I'm in between screens, so give me 1 second. I put it in the chat.
Okay. Curtis says we should have cheated. Okay. Let's see. We got 365. All right. So we'll watch for that one to come up. So far, it's looking like our team in the lead is team 1 that had 365, just beat out team 4 with 355. And we cheated and we still lost. Cheat better, somebody said. All right. Okay, so let me just show you a couple visuals in the lesson. There are these two I showed you a forecast of demand, and then there's these 2 actual demand curves. But what I've learned over running this activity for many years, this is a classic, I use it every semester, is that adding this demand curve doesn't really add any value because there's 2 of them you can choose from. There's this one and there's this one. And they're both close to the forecast, but they're not exactly, the forecast. But if your students haven't learned supply and demand yet, they don't know what a demand curve looks like, this just adds unnecessary confusion. And I found that you can just show them the demand forecast and it works. The activity works just as well. So I personally do not use those visuals. There is a video on the website that will give you a picture of what it looks like in a classroom. So very quickly, I'm just going to skip to minute 6:30. This is young Debbie. Oh, let me share my sound. Share computer sound. Yeah. Maybe sorry, the section I need is covered. I can get to it.
In Cartels and Competition, students play the roles of company executives.
Okay, I apologize. It's covered by my pair deck thing at the bottom. So, but what it sets up the activity, the visuals you need. Your students have little production decision cards that they turn in instead of answering on pair deck, and you just collect those. And I think it's important not to reveal just to keep some anonymity by just going through the cards and saying 2 + 2 + 3 + 5, you know, and add them as you go. And then at about 6 minutes into this video, you can see the students deliberating in groups, and then you can see them go out, you know, each chooses a representative and they go out, and it will work just like it did here in our breakout rooms. I have run this, you know, every semester, it works every time. The only variation might be that sometimes after they meet together, they go back and they all produce 2 or 3, whatever their agreement was. So if that happens, you just run another round. As soon as somebody cheats, the game is over. You end it because the purpose has been achieved, and now you can debrief and talk about why that happened. Okay? So we're going to share a folder with you that looks like this. Debbie will send it in an email and probably has it in the chat. And inside you'll see the Cartels and Competition lesson guide, the virtual instructions, the balance sheet that you can share with students, and the slide deck that is enabled for Pear Deck. If you're doing this with students and you're not doing it virtually, you don't need the Pear Deck stuff. So you can just ignore that and run it with students. Okay? Any questions?
Yeah,
all right, I'll turn it. Yeah,
I have
go
one.
ahead.
Would you do this as an introduction to demand or after demand but before supply? Where would you place this at?
Great job. So in like a microeconomics or a general economics class, I would do it where when we talk about market structures, like how competitive markets are, like there's monopoly and there's more competitive. And this would be like an example of oligopoly. Even if you don't talk about that, I would do this where we talk about how competitive market structures are. If I'm doing macroeconomics, you could put it in like after supply and demand, or just like if you're talking about international trade and you want to talk about why people like to put barriers in and keep, you know, competition out. This is another form of keeping competition out, is forming a cartel. And if you're teaching another social studies class, maybe like a history class, there's a whole era where we had like a trust busting era, right? Where there were literally, you know, trusts that were formed, and you had to decide to join the trust and let them make the production decisions versus being able to make your own production decision. And that version of the activity is called a question of trust. It's the same activity. It's just set in a historical context of kind of the Teddy Roosevelt trust busting era. Okay, those would be my recommendations. But great question. Thank you, Victor.